Gonna move instead off to the outside, try to open up the corner, and wow, great move from Oliveira. Can he get this one right back? Cavisto's not done, but he carries the speed well. Oh, nearly. Once again, banging doors. Inside for Piper. If he can keep it on the track, he doesn't. Oh, wheels spinning up the grass as Cavisto somehow doesn't get into the wall. 3 wide, down into Hobbs, and diving it deep. Olivier really wants that spot.
This was on my side monitor, and I watched him flash through here. This is insane. Look at it, offline, in the marbles, gets around Mr. Sneaky. I think we're going to have to change Mr. Sneaky from Takeshi Kita to Gunderson.
He's got a little bit of an overlap, and he's got the right-hand side. DJ seems to think that's the place to go. Will that be the case? He gains a little bit back, but now it's going to switch back in favor of David Burns. He carries it around the outside with a ton of speed, but he keeps it well, and he's got a nose ahead coming off the corner. Burns has better momentum. He has got it. David Burns will win here in Canada.
Watch how close this gets. Andrew Hardman, king of going up the inside, decides to go around the outside. Overprotected going into there. Hardman actually in the lead at this point. Waring comes back and says, nope, I'm not letting you have it. I'm taking one of the 10,000 lines going through 10 and gets back into the lead. This was a pass on the last lap that became an unpass as they went into that final corner. Good defense from Waring. Hardman trying to go around the outside, gets the power down, but just doesn't quite have enough to make it. But that was some amazing racing.
And Challoner is going to try it, and they're going to go 3 wide. That's his teammate, is it not? One of our Evolve drivers, but it looks like Challoner can't quite make the pass. Andrew Waring trying to come back through as he cuts underneath a savvy move from the number 5, and he's going to have that 3rd place. Our swing through the U.S. has taken us through Michigan, the Southeast, and now we head to the heart of Texas. Circuit of the Americas will certainly be the most awe-inspiring of our recent venues with its impressive facilities, but good looks belie a frustratingly technical course. How will the drivers fare? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 9 of the Porsche Owners Club Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. I am Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. COTA isn't just a place for F1 anymore. Let's take a look at our track guide to see all the amazing types of series that visit here these days. Welcome to Circuit of the Americas. The cliche of everything's bigger in Texas rings true for this track in the Lone Star State. Built specifically for Formula One, the number of corners, circuit length, safety features, and general track amenities immediately set this place apart from almost every racing course in the United States. Of the 3 layouts available, the most widely used is the Grand Prix circuit, which tops out at a whopping 20 turns along nearly 3.5 miles. Many of them have been modeled after well-known sections of European tracks such as Silverstone, Hockenheim, and Istanbul. But compared to those venues, this place still has lots of unique challenges. Turn 1 in particular features the largest elevation change from the lap and culminates in a blind and sharp hairpin. The penultimate corner is just as tough with its off-camber apex and sudden drop, forcing many to escape to the paved runoff on the outside. And though it was meant to lure F1, many other series have now raced here, ranging from IndyCar to WEC, IMSA, and even V8 supercars. Track days are also common, with the SCCA running all types of amateur events to allow up-and-coming drivers to feel what it's like to battle on the same tarmac as Vettel and Hamilton have. With this track, American race fans finally get to experience a purpose-built course made in the modern day. Texas went bigger and better, and in the process, raised the bar for their peers. Well, DJ, after years of having the U.S. all to itself, COTA has been joined by another friend in terms of F1, but still, we take Porsches here today, so how will they work out?
Well, they're going to find this track a real treat, but very, very tricky, Joe. There's two major overtaking areas to watch out for, and that's going to be the run up Phil Hill off of the main straightaway, and then the run going into turn 12 off of the long backstretch. From there on out, the bits in between, it's going to get very, very tricky. The S's section on a constantly tightly decreasing radius through the corners are going to have drivers bleeding speed, and they're going to have to be very, very careful to get those all right. Then out of turn 12, the sort of stadium section there, that is a bit of a stop and start area where you've got to find momentum in an area of the track where there is deliberately designed to break up that momentum. But keep your eye for that area. There's some great opportunities to fight back in that area if you are overtaken down into 12. All in all, though, Joe, despite the new addition of Miami, this is still one of the best circuits in North America.
And it seems like it still has a place on the schedule. But before we get to the racing out on the track, we do want to remind you that our broadcast is brought to you by Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank. Be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. As well as Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to OctavioTequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at CenturyRetire.com. As for the championship, it's been 5 straight wins when Tom Layton has shown up. The only one he missed in those 5 runs, he wasn't there for race 5 at Zandvoort. And as such, you can see he's built a handy gap over Michael Johnson. Now, Johnson, though, has just moved up into that second place. He had a good run over Travis Brown, who was in second briefly and then lost it right away. So he's going to want to get back on his horse and have a little bit of a better race. Now, Corey Lotvilla is currently a ways down, and he's certainly trying to turn that streak around. He's had a 5th and a 2nd, so he might be on the upswing, but we got to see how he fares today, as from there on down, things start to get pretty far out, although it could change around, as this is a long, long season, so the complexion could vary greatly. As we take a look at what this race itself has in store for us, DJ, what are they up against?
Well, as you said, this is the 9th of a whopping 25 rounds in the Porsche Owners Club. Everybody's going to be out in the same machinery today, that Porsche 911 GT3R, and this is one of the sprint races. So a 30-minute race with no pit stops out there, and it is an open setup, but this is a very open community. So a lot of those setups are shared, so a lot of drivers will be able to compete on the same level.
As you'd expect, Tom Layton is once again on pole position, provisional pole. Corey Lotvilla is trying to chase him down, but he's only been able to manage a 2:02.5 so far. And he's actually sitting out on track for some reason. I'm not sure why Corey is doing that. Travis Brown currently sitting in 3rd. The one man that's been a bit of a surprise is Michael Johnson, who actually coaches here in real life. He's right now down in 10th and struggling. But he has given what I consider a pretty good reason for having a hard time out here. He says making the transition from real-world racing, where the muscle memory is a little bit different, is not being kind to him trying to translate that into the sim. So that's what's causing him a bit of a headache today.
Yeah, Joe, it's one of the differences that we talk about in sim racing is that feel of the car and the feel of the track when you're out on there. When you're out driving in real life, you feel everything through your backside and really through the entire vibration of the car and all of that. When you're racing on a sim, it's a different sensory experience. You've got to be listening a little bit more to the squeal of the tires and feel things through your fingertips and on the steering wheel. And it can be a very, very rough transition to make. And so with somebody like Michael that is so incredibly experienced, experience at a track like Coda, it's not surprising that he's finding himself a little bit farther down the order.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame because I'm sure this is one that he would love to try and fight for his second win of the season. But right now, it's just not looking likely. You never know, though, especially because things could take unexpected turns here, especially with the incident limit that we've got. This is always a talking point, no matter what series visits here in the sim, DJ. It's a lot like Spa in that sense, in that if you have incident limits at this track, you got to be careful.
Yeah, it's a very, very easy thing to run off, run a little bit wide here, specifically through this section that we watch Michael go through right now, this S's section. You can pick up an off track very easily. Now, there are those big triangle curves to the inside to try to prevent you running wide, but it can still come back to bite you very easily. Right there, coming through turns 8, 9, and 10. Very one of those easiest areas to pick it up. So you've got to be careful and not just cutting corners, but running too far wide is the other problem you may have.
Absolutely. All the paved runoff invites you to try and push the limits, and you keep doing that. If you hit 17, you're going to get a drive-through penalty, and then at 5 more incidents, you get another one all the way up until 34, at which point they're actually going to disqualify you. Let's hope nobody actually hits that, because it's only 30 minutes around here, and the laps take more than 2, so you'd have to get more than 2 incidents per lap to try and run over the DQ limit, which is not impossible, but you're probably running pretty sloppy at that stage as we watch Michael come through the back half of the course down through the tricky stadium section. It doesn't look like he's on a lap of improvement right now, and he's got 5 more minutes to go, so he's running out of time here, and he definitely wants to keep out on track because it takes so long just to get that warm-up lap in.
Yeah, exactly. And his tires will be nice and up to temperature here at this point, right within a good operating range. So he's going to want to try to push. Track temperature's a little bit chilly out there right now, only 75 degrees Fahrenheit out on track. So that is certainly going to mean that on the first couple of laps of the race that we're going to have to see drivers being a little bit cautious and not pushing too hard.
Crosses the line, and he's got a 2:03.4. So that's not going to be any quicker. And in fact, he pulls over for some reason. Wonder if he's given up for the day. He could hustle back out and get maybe 1 or 2 more in. But in the meantime, Leighton is still just cruising out there. And you see him on screen right now, just running lap after lap. And he's got still that more than half a second over Corey Lotville, who was also pitted now just recently. So Lotville looks like he is going to possibly be done here. Will that maybe open the door for Travis Brown, who's out on track?
Well, it certainly could. Travis doesn't look like he's setting any fast times right now, but he could just be gearing himself up for a faster lap as we watch Tom Leighton working his way through turn 11 there. That is a perfect line around that corner, just maximizing speed down this backstretch. That's the line a lot of drivers are going to want to take to try to get their best chance at an overtake.
Another driver that I'm looking at that is a little bit out of position to me is Michael Ost. He's down in 15th. Remember, he's 5th in the championship right now. So something's got to be wrong there. I look at his lap times, and he's actually had all but 1 deleted. So that might be the explanation. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to go much faster. He is using Michael Bolton as a bit of a tow. But I'll keep an eye on him, see if he's able to get at least another lap in this one that he just finished. Unfortunately, also got deleted, so he's got to come around one more time.
Yeah, and it looks like here that Corey Lotville also sitting down pit lane. We watch the 2 of them kind of working their way around. Now, this is going to be helpful down some of the straightaways, but I've got to say here for Ost that he may want to try to pull a little bit away. The arrow wash is very, very real, especially coming through this tricky S's section. You can see him getting a little bit sideways, and that's what happens if you try to cut a corner there.
Yeah, I think he cut one, and then the second one, he wasn't totally under control, so he just bounded over that thing. That ends his qualifying at this point. I guess he could just hustle back in and get right back out, but he's barely going to have a lap to get the tires warmed up. Instead, on screen, we are watching Sam Mayorga who is currently sitting in 8th. Another one that's had trouble getting clean laps in. If you have those off tracks that we're talking about that rack up those incidents, that deletes your lap here in iRacing in qualifying mode. So you have to keep within the track boundaries very strictly for it to count. And Mayorga has not been as successful at that. He's only had 2 laps counted so far.
Yeah, and that can come back to bite you. And as we said, it also can affect you into the race itself. Once you get some of those off tracks, you got to be worried about that incident limit. But in qualifying is certainly where it is the worst. And when you're conscious about those off tracks, you're conscious about not running wide, you're not going to push the car nearly as hard as you want to. And that's really going to hurt your lap times.
Down into the stadium section for Mayorga now. And he's going to have a couple parked cars, it looks like. Somebody pulled off to the side and ended his qualifying. Aaron Edwards and John Momeyer just in front of him right now. And now into the triple apexer of what I have deemed Turkey. They really need to give these turns some official names, but obviously a lot of them trying to mimic other tracks when they built this place. Some of them have kind of built a life of their own since then with the bumps and various things causing differences between them. Mayorga coming down the line. He'll get one more flyer if this one doesn't do it for him. And he crosses the line and it gets deleted. He had an off track somewhere.
All right, so he's going to get one more bite at the apple here, waiting to see who else is on track. It looks like Lotvilla, Brown, Fulton, Duncan, Rondeau, Abrams, and Slavic all in pit lane, so they're not going to have anything else. We watch here as a couple of drivers come across the line, not seeing anybody move up. Larry Haas going to stay stationary back in 19th.
He did improve, though, by a wide margin, but he's very off the pace of everybody here today, so he's going to get one more shot. Maybe that one can get him a little closer. At the very least, Baccignone doesn't see the lap count. Michael Johnson is back out there. And if he isn't on the lap that's going to count right now, he'll get one last one after this, because he should get to the timing line in time. This very tricky penultimate corner here. Off camber, downhill. He keeps it within the boundaries. Let's see what the last corner looks like. It does look like he's up on his time from what I'm seeing. He comes out of it. It's an improvement, and it's a 2:03.1. That is going to bump him up to 4th. Wow, nicely done there by Johnson.
Yeah, that is much more of a representative time than we would expect from Michael Johnson. And remember, he is a self-proclaimed racer rather than a qualifying expert. He's much better over the course of a race at being consistent. So that is a good omen if you are a fan of Michael Johnson.
Well, the timer hit 0, and Bolton was able to start one final lap. Everybody behind him now finishes up. Shulam, who sits in 12th, is not looking like he is on a good one. And just note that one does not count behind him. Leighton as well sees that lap deleted. Baccignone is going to be the next one, coming down the long back stretch, trying to spot his brake marker, taking it as wide as he can into this sharp left-hander. And then the car has to whoa up here. Back and forth it'll weave.
Yeah, and you get a lot of lateral movement in the car. Very hard to be applying the brakes through this section and not lock up those front tires. Takes that corner there through 14 and 15 just about as right as he can. And now he lines up for Turkey.
Baccignone is showing very close to his best lap, but he might be just a bit down. So it'll depend on how he is on these last few corners. If he has time that he can make up through them. Oh, and the car looks very loose as he catches it coming off the penultimate turn. Now the final left-hander. Can he keep it within the boundaries? He crosses the finish line, and it's a 2:03.5. It's not going to be faster. Johnson is continuing on around. He's on his last flying lap, and Sipek, I believe, and Bolton are going to be the last two behind him to see their laps accepted.
Indeed, Joe. I'm not seeing any improved sector times, though, out of these drivers, so I don't think this is going to be an improvement unless here Michael can pull something out of his hat at the last possible minute. Brings it there out of turn 20, and indeed, he's going to cross over the line a little bit slow.
And it got deleted anyways. Looks like Sipek didn't go faster. It did count. But Michael Bolton, who had just seconds to spare when he crossed the line, tries to see if he can go quicker. And it does look like he's on a good one. As long as this last corner is decent, when he crosses the line, oh, he lost out by 0.03 of a second. He just botched that last corner that little bit. That's going to take us to our starting grid here for today in round number 9 of our season. Tom Layton with another pole position over Corey Latvala, who's still playing catch-up in the points. Travis Brown wants at least to be able to get back up into second place if he can beat the man that's starting next to him, Michael Johnson. And fourth, Matthew Sipek will be P5, as BJ Fulton will start from 6th. Then you've got Doug Baccignona in 7th and Jad Duncan in 8th. 5th row has Sam Mayorga 9th and Michael Bolton 10th.
Lining up at 11th, it's going to be Mark Rondeau with Jeffrey Schulam flanking him. Behind them, it'll be Jacob Abrams and Mehmet Karasay with Aaron Edwards and Michael Ost in row 8. Jim Slavic lines up 17th, followed by John Momeyer, and Larry Haas will make up the rest of this 19-car field.
So we wait for the clock to tick to 0. And then we head on over to the gridding. It's going to be a rolling start here for these guys. And they won't have a full pace lap. Thank you. It does take, thankfully, it does take a long time to cycle your way around this place. So they're going to grid them up on the back stretch. And then they'll have a brief moment to prepare the cars. The Porsche pace car will duck away, and they'll be on their way for 30 minutes here today. The big question for me, DJ, is who can beat Tom Layton? He's looked unstoppable lately.
Yeah, that really is the question here. That 97 machine has looked to be the tour de force this season. If anybody can get close to it, they are going to be in good position. But the problem is you have to be pixel perfect the entire time, I think, to challenge that 97.
Michael Ost, unfortunately, was not able to improve. We were following his progress there much towards the end, but he'll start from 16th. He's going to have to do some hard work to get his typical finishes here in this series. In fact, I'm seeing he did miss last round for the 90-minute race, but of his last 4 races, he's had 2 seconds and a third. So, or no, 2 thirds and a second. I got that reversed. But man, he was consistent for a while there. The question is, has he lost the touch now that he stepped away for one of the rounds?
Well, we'll have to see. All cars on the grid here, it looks like. So just waiting to pull away here and get going as there the iRacing Porsche pace car pulls away. Tom Layton leading the field down the backstretch. And, well, we've only got a couple of corners to go till that green flag drops.
All right, DJ. Phil Hill is a place of action. Even professionals, drivers in the real world who can see around themselves visually a lot better, have trouble trying to navigate the cramped field at the starts. What are we predicting happening here?
It's going to be interesting. I think you're going to see a couple of drivers having to take to that wide runoff there at the end and potentially pick up a 1X as they go. I don't want to jinx anybody. I don't think we're going to have a big kerfluffle going into it, but we will have to see. It's going to be a tricky zone.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to try and stay out of trouble, especially if drivers get aggressive and start trying to go 3 wide and things out there. And the temptation will be there. You'll see an opening, the track widens up and just invites you to try and have a move. But question is, can you make it a clean one as we come around Turkey? And Layton is looking to get a 4th straight win, a 5th or 6th straight win of those he's attended. Can he do it here today in Texas? And what can Michael Johnson do at what has become an adopted home track for him? As we exit the penultimate corner, pace car should enter in here. There it goes. Layton's going to have control. He usually tends to wait a lot before he goes. We'll see if he does here today. It's a long ways down this front stretch before you have to go. We could see some drivers make some false starts here if they get antsy. And yeah, he is holding up big time. There's a big checkup in the back, waiting for the green flag. looking for it, and the green flag is out as they start to accelerate away. Leighton's decent, but Lotfula still to his outside. If he can hang tough the long way around, maybe he can do something deep into the brakes for Leighton. Oh, and contact as Lotfula gets turned at the very first corner. He gets out of the way, thankfully. Everybody behind is, everybody else is going to get through.
Everybody's going to get through, and more contact. That's Doug Boccignoni and John Momeyer as they come through the S's. They're able to gain the car back up under him, but there is definitely that. And there you can see Lotfula already charging back up through.
Oh, making multiple positions here. This is great stuff from Lotfula, but he's down to 15th, and he's 8 seconds behind the leader. That's going to be hard to make up on Leighton. Instead, Michael Johnson, you talked about him being a racer. He made up spots there at the start. He is up to second.
He is indeed. He does have BJ Fulton staring him down there, but he's going to have a good run here. Fulton taking a little bit of a look to the inside. Oh, and who's that? Was that Duncan, I think, that had a big one?
Mark Rondeau got into Jad Duncan. He outbraked himself, and the cars absolutely smashed together. A Bottas moment there down into turn 11 for the car number 11.
Yeah, and Abrams there with a heavily crabbing car. It looks like, yeah, that car does not want to steer straight. He is more than likely going to have to take a tow.
It's not what we wanted to see. They made it through turn 1, and it's elsewhere that seemed to cause them issues. But Lotfula up to 10th already. There you can see just overtook on John Momeyer as well. As behind them, the battles are still healthy. Slavic, Boccignoni, and Edwards still side by side.
Yep. Oh, and another car around. I think that's Shulam.
It is indeed, and looks like Mayorga went with him. Oh, somebody spins off in sympathy, unfortunately. That's Edwards, causing almost another wreck with Sam Mayorga, who's trying to just simply get back to the track.
Oh my goodness, a lot of first lap chaos here, and not where we were expecting it at all, Joe. But everybody now, hopefully these tires are going to be up to temperature by the time they get working their way back here, and we're not going to see much more of that nasty running.
Oh, no. Michael Ost must have gotten caught up in some of that. He's got a meatball flag. He's going to have to take a spare car. This will cost him. Rondeau has to come in for repairs. Duncan, Shulam, Abrams. A lot of drivers running into damage there on lap 1. Guys, you still got 27 minutes to go.
Yeah, indeed. And these drivers are just going to have to gather everything back up under them and try to focus ahead. Michael Johnson here doing a good job to pull away from BJ Fulton. He's got the gap up to about 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, and that has separated a lot of our battles, so that gives us a chance to take a look at some of the replays there from the first lap. I take it we're going to take a look at Lotfula. Yeah, here into the first corner. Who is that actually makes contact, though? I'm trying to figure that out.
I think that's...
Is that Brown?
Is it Brown? Let me check here, Joe.
I think it is, yeah, because he started from third. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What this will mean is I think they're going to have to take a look at that, and Brown might get a post-race penalty because of that turn, because I don't think they're going to take a very good view on him taking out one of the drivers from the front row before they even get out of turn 1.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things going into that corner where, yes, there was an opportunity there for Travis to get that move done, but that was always going to be a gap that closes down. And on the first lap in the first corner, you've just kind of got to know that.
I think we're watching Rondeau here, and this is going to be down into turn 11. Now, this one's very, very simple. He just straight up missed his braking, and he tried his best to try and thread the needle and make his way through the cars that are coming into the corner, but he couldn't find the gap, and you'll see it right here. Oh no, oh no, oh no, and boom.
Yeah, right there into Jad Duncan, and Jad just an unfortunate victim. Ost, I think, they're sent off and around. Now, I'm not sure where he picked up the damage necessarily that brought him into pit lane, but it wasn't from that incident.
Yeah, we'll try and investigate that a little bit later. I can tell the drivers are certainly having their own problems with incidents, keeping it within the boundaries as well, because if the driver has an off track, the lap doesn't count. Well, if they keep getting off tracks, then we don't see them show up on the fastest lap list. Well, we've got, I think, about 7 drivers that have had laps counted up to this point. So There's yeah, you can see it. There is your fastest laps marker right there on the screen. So 10 drivers have managed to get a clean one into lap 3.
It was a very scruffy first lap for everybody, and sadly there, I think Corey Lockville may have just picked up an off track as he came out of turn 9, but he is having a look here on Matthew Sipek as they go down into that braking for 11, already getting the move done.
So Lockville on the inside and faster than Matthew. So this looks like pretty much a slam dunk, unless Matt can pull the draft and maybe try and fight back. No, doesn't look like it. They're already getting towards the braking zone here and down onto the binders. Yep, he'll have to sit behind. So Lockville into 6. 4 more positions to go to get back where he started, but he's 12 seconds off the lead. Remember, I said he was 8 earlier on, so he is losing time.
Yeah, losing time, just trying to have to get by these other drivers. And when you make that pass, that puts you offline. That is going to affect your lap time. Now, he's only got about 3.5 seconds to be able to get up to Michael Bolton, but that's still going to be a pretty heavy order to be able to do in the closing minutes as we jump back further in the field.
Yep, this is coming through the stadium section with Molmeyer. He's got a train of cars behind Mehmet Karasay, Aaron Edwards, and Sam Mayorga. Mayorga managing to stay out after his off there through the stadium section last lap. Leighton now getting another fastest lap of the race. He's staying clean out there at the very least. And coming up to the pit entry and past it. None of these 4 are going to be pitting in this time, so they've had a clean race up to here. There is your leader, Tom Leighton. It's up to 3.6 seconds, so Johnson is keeping him a bit honest.
Yeah, certainly is, and I like seeing that, but also here, BJ under a little bit of pressure from Travis Brown, as Brown has been able to close that gap back down, and it's under a second.
Yeah, haven't seen BJ Fulton show up at all of the races out here, and when he has, it's not been the greatest. He's missed the last 4, and he did have a 4th place finish in round 2, as that was the one that unfortunately took out some of the leaders, which is partly why you see that last round being the one that Leighton did not take victory in. But coming down the backstretch, Brown's a little too far back for now. Doesn't mean that he's certainly out of the running here on BJ Fulton. Wonder if he got any damage from that little touch, though, coming in into the first corner.
I'm trying to take a look right now. There may be a little bit of damage on the splitter of Brown. I don't see if there is. It's incredibly minor, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's okay. So, looks like he got away with it. Still on the back of Michael Johnson. Looks like he is gaining on Johnson a little bit, too. So I wonder if Fulton is maybe going to be able to close this down, make it a 3-car fight to decide the podium and who is the last one left out when the music ends, and winds up 4th and off of the steps onto the main straight. Yeah, it's down to 9/10 of a second now. BJ looks like he's pulling.
Yeah, indeed he does, and that's going to be good news as well for Travis Brown, is 2 things will start to happen. If he's able to keep a little bit closer, that means he'll get a little bit of a double draft going down the longer straightaways, and if BJ and Michael start to fight, that is going to pull Travis right into the equation.
So we hop on board with Brown. I love seeing this view through these S's. Shows you how challenging they are. Let's see if he avoids those triangles. Those pyramids. So far, so good. And there's none there through that apex. Switching back to the left. Just missing that one. Up the hill they climb. A lot of elevation change here at this track. And yeah, he's good through all of them. But doesn't look like he gained much on Fulton in that sequence.
No, and it may have looked like, but it did look like there that BJ gained a whole lot on Michael Johnson, as he's been able to get that gap down to about 0.8 of a second there. So trying to get a good run off of it. We've got to jump back here, though, to Michael Bolton, as there's some good action there, I believe.
Yeah, Latvila's caught up to him already. And in fact, Latvila is using up the track pretty healthily. He's just gone way off on the exit of turn 11. And is trying to use that to his advantage, but it didn't seem to do as much as I expected. Thought maybe, whoa, instead he's going to chuck it up the inside. That was from a long ways back. Holy cow. from the three-point line, and the 22 car is now in the top 5.
Yeah, Corey Lottful, not to be denied here tonight. I think his blood is up, and he is ready to go racing.
And that slowed up Bolton now that Sipek has caught up as well. So that certainly allowed Matthew to maybe give a shot at Michael as they come through Turkey and plunging down into the penultimate corner. See if maybe that one can shake a mistake out of the 127. No, it's going to get a mistake out of Sipek. He goes way wide and loses the time.
He's not going to be able to close that back down. Sipek trying to see what he can do. I've got to say, though, Michael Bolton doing a good job to stay up behind Corey Lottful here. I would have thought Lottful would have streaked away into the distance, but that is not happening.
I agree. With how quickly he caught him, I thought, well, that's job done. But no, it is not. And he stays slightly defensive coming into the first corner just to make sure and prevent that 127 from having a look. But down into the S's, this is probably going to be single file. Not often you see a pass through here, unless they're already side by side. And yeah, they're all just going to follow the leader on this stage. So getting close to the halfway mark of this race. 30 minutes goes pretty quickly. Those that lost positions at the start are trying their darndest to make up whatever they can.
And one of those drivers is Travis Brown here, has been able to close that gap down now substantially. He was within about 3/4 of a second as they dove down into turn 11. Brown really trying to push here to get by BJ Fulton. Looks like he lost a little bit out into the braking zone under 11, but able to keep it nice and close here, and this becoming a three-way fight for second.
I have to admit, it is impressive the way that Michael Johnson races so consistently in these races. He was not up to 4th. He was in 9th in that qualifying all the way until about a minute to go, and then suddenly finally popped it in. And then here in the race, he got into 2nd place and hasn't given it up since. Now, that said, you can see how close it's gotten as Fulton has been just kind of chipping away at that gap in front of him. And it's starting to become less a question of consistency and more a question of can he withstand the pressure.
Yeah, exactly. And if anybody can withstand a little bit of that pressure, it is going to be Michael Johnson as they go down now into the corners here. That tricky penultimate corner, as you said, Joe. Looks like BJ's really starting to close in, though.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more of a threat. I also want to give a shout out, talking about drivers who made up spots. Michael Ost, who despite having to come in and take a spare car, is up 3 from where he began this race and into 13th. There you can see him there. But he's starting to get some quick cars that are gathering up behind him. Duncan, Rondeau, and Momeyer, who also had to come in and take some repairs, are back out and they're flying.
Yeah, they are on the move here as we've really seen everything just kind of get jumbled around a little bit earlier on. Duncan, though, trying to go. Here's a nice little 3-car train. That's Gsrc, Edwards, and Mayorga. Yeah,
and Mehmet just took that spot. He's into 10th, up 4 spots. Slavic in front of him has 1-upped him. Well, 4-upped him. He's up 8 positions. In fact, I think he might be our hard charger here today in that number 58. Coming off of Phil Hill. Gsrc already running away and not interested in playing with Edwards, Mayorga, and Ost anymore.
No, he wants to pull away, and this is the area of the track where you really can, where that driver skill comes out, how quickly you're able to take it. Ooh, looked like a little bit of a wide run there for Mayorga coming through the S's, and that's going to be Ost thinking about trying to make a move at an unlikely position.
Wow, and he does it. So kudos there to Ost. So he gets himself up into 12th now. And I also noticed a gap between Fulton and Johnson now. I can report we don't need to go to the replay. Fulton went wide in the S's. Johnson gets himself some breathing room.
Yes, he does. He's got that up to about 1 second now. Ooh, that's another good run for Michael Ost. Here they come.
Down the back stretch, it's going to be a drag race. Edwards and Ost. Ost has the inside. He's been aggressive lately. Can he make it 5 positions up? As they get onto the binders, they're about dead even into there, but much better down to the apex. Ost is going to get the spot. Another one lost to Edwards as Mayorga says, thank you very much, I'll take that. Nope, maybe not. Here comes Edwards back at him.
And you can carry a little bit more speed around the outside, but it looks like Mayorga is going to have to back out of that a little bit. And there is some damage to the front splitter of that car, so that's really going to be affecting him here through some of these slower speed corners.
Look at the damage, though, on the front there of the 183 of Sam Mayorga. So that might be hurting him a little bit on the straights. He does not look in the best of conditions. He is down 4 from where he began. Certainly not alone in terms of drivers losing spots, so he doesn't have to feel too ashamed at this track. And look at how close he's getting to Edwards. He wants that one back.
Yes, he does, and Jad Duncan wants a piece of it as well as they run up, starting to climb up Phil Hill. Is anybody going to be brave enough to go to the inside? Duncan is. Here he goes. Defensive, offensive move there from all of them.
Yeah, pick your spot, because everybody's fanning out to whatever position they want, but nobody changes except for Mayorga over Duncan, who puts him back into 12th. Oh, Bolton and Sipek are now side by side coming into turn 11. And Bolton gets by him, so this is not over. Matthew now sucks up behind and pulls the toe. It's going to be a big toe, but oh, he just barely finds the space down to the inside. Bolton wanted to cover him off, but he left too much open.
He left too much open, and now it's going to be a battle of the late breakers between Bolton and Sipek. Sipek down on the preferred line, but Bolton's going to try to carry some more momentum around the outside. They're still not going to have it decided as they go down into 13.
Around the outside, Sipek's going to have a rough time there. Yep, he has to give it up, and that's probably just in time because Baccignone was gathering up hand over fist. No, he's not done with him. Absolutely chucks it in the second part of those hairpins, and it actually sticks.
Oh my goodness, you don't see that. Oh, has to get out of it there a little bit, does Bolton coming through Turkey. You really can't run too wide through there, and that's going to be Sipek back ahead.
Baccignone gaining ever closer. It's down to 2 seconds. If they keep this up, it's going to be a three-way fight for 6th place here pretty soon. So they come onto the front stretch. Now 13 minutes to go on the clock.
Yeah, time's starting to tick down, and you can tell because drivers are knowing they are really starting to push here as hard as they can, but it looks like Sipek going to be able to hold out here as they go up Phil Hill. Not necessarily. Ooh, that was a big bound to the curb. That could open up the door a little bit for Bolton.
He's going to have to be closer than that, I think. Yeah, he's not got the overlap here coming into the S's. He's going to have to stay patient unless he can get a bobble out of the 12. And it's already down to 1.4 seconds. Not sure that Baccignone is even necessarily gaining due to the battling as much as just he's generally faster than them. Last time was a 2:05.1 for him. Bolton a 2:06.9 with all that messing around. And off of the crest over 9 through 10 and down into 11. Let's see who gets the launch down the backstretch.
That's going to be the big question here. Little bit of the curb there for the 127 of Bolton. I think Sipek got the better run, and indeed, that gap starts to grow a little bit.
It's exactly what Matt needed right there. Just need to try and separate himself a little bit and stop this madness for the battle for 6. I've been kind of trying to check on Lotfula to see if he's going to catch up to Brown. I don't think he has the pace, but never say never. He's been 4 to 5 tenths a lap faster than him, but he's still about 7 seconds behind. Oh, what's happened here?
It looks like Matthew Abrams having a little bit of a problem in the 7:28. I'm not sure. Maybe caught a little bit of the turtles coming through there.
Oh, we've had a massive wreck on the backstretch. Mayorga and Duncan. I think they just tangled, and this was on a straight line. This is a bit of a silly one, as they were trying to defend a little too hard, and they banged doors, and they were going a good 130 miles an hour when they flew into the barrier.
Oh, and you can see all the damage there on that machine. Let's go back and check out the Gsrc replay. Yeah, the two of them just going down. Oh, hard into the barriers. It looks like there was some massive miscommunication. Was that Gsrc that managed to avoid that just narrowly?
Let me check to see. Yeah, someone was really having to dodge and bob and weave. And no, that was not Gsrc. Can't figure out who quite it was. That was Rondeau and Edwards, who took avoiding action on them. So we're going to try and see if we can pick it up from their perspective. Not something you usually see, especially over that crest. Couldn't really see much until they were pretty close. And there they go, dodging it, thankfully, getting out of the way as the sun continues to set. It's a pretty late in the day race here in Texas, just past 7:30 p.m. virtual standard time, but sun will not fully set here. They'll still have some daylight, so it's not quite like their Road Atlanta race, but it is still cooling things down here in the Texas heat. Well, can't really call 69 degrees Fahrenheit Texas heat. That is beautiful, I'm sure, for Texans out there right now. And also beautiful for Tom Layton. With less than 10 minutes to go, it's now 7.8 seconds over Michael Johnson, who for a while had at least a little bit of a chance to relax, and now Fulton and Brown are all back over him.
Yeah, indeed. He is finding himself in a world of defense here, but Tom Layton just doing what Tom Layton does best. He is cruising here up at the front of the field.
Yeah, I think he's going to hit that win number 6 in a row here in terms of races he's attended. That's going to be a bit of a walk away unless somebody can figure out how to outpace him out there. Travis Brown at times, very quick. Corey Lotvilla, but both of them just can't seem to get the races themselves together. You saw in the qualifying, they were slightly within range, and then unfortunately, at least in the case of Lotvilla, it all unfolded before he even really got a chance at the race. And then Brown likewise was involved with that, dropped down to 4th, and can do nothing with the very indignant BJ Fulton, who has no interest in giving him the spot back. Is a little offline. There goes BJ.
A little bit offline, and starting to put some pressure here now is Travis Brown. I think he recognized that mistake, and he wants to try to push ahead a little bit. He's going to maybe have a little bit of a look to the outside, inside, going down into turn 11. Battle of the late breakers. Here comes Fulton.
Manages to make the apex, but he goes a little wide off of it, and it looks like BJ Fulton is going to try to come back at him. He's got the toe as the 277 looks to the inside. No defense from Travis Brown. Does he feel like he can break later down into turn 12? Looking for the marker as they finally get on the binders, and yes, he does. Travis Brown much later, little bit off the apex, maybe just giving some room to the 277. Job done finally.
Finally has that done, and now he's going to have to see if he's going to be able to close down a little bit on Michael Johnson up ahead of him. That battling has allowed that gap to grow to about 2 seconds. But I got to tell you what, BJ Fulton, well, I was going to say he didn't look like he was quite done with that battle, but ran wide at the apex there, coming through turn 15, and that's going to cost him some time.
I'm very curious to see if Travis Brown was being held up by Fulton, if he's got much better pace than Johnson and just couldn't really show it because he was stuck in 4th. And that was for, 20 minutes that he was down there, considering that happened on the first lap.
Yeah, indeed it was. And so we're going to have to see how that plays out as they cross over the line right now. I can tell you that Michael Johnson was about 1/10 of a second faster once Travis Brown had gotten clear of everything. Now we'll have to see if Brown's got some more speed to make up in the first couple of sectors of this lap.
You know, the other thing that did was Fulton and Brown battling helped Corey Lotvilla out tremendously. He ran a 2:03.645, Corey. BJ Fulton, 2:05.9. So essentially 2 and some seconds quicker that last lap.
Wow, that is very impressive. Again, I will say this, Corey definitely has his blood up here today. He's still about 5 seconds off, but he is certainly going to try to close in as much as he can in this last 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, he's not done. He wants to try and see what he can do and at least get maybe that 4th place, if not maybe attack for the podium on Brown. It all depends on if those two have more tangles trying to settle the position. The only real fight that we've got right now is between Boccignone and Bolton, and that is for 7th place. I mentioned that Boccignone looked like he was actually faster than Bolton and Sipek, and this has really made that clear because there hasn't been battling between the 127 and the 12. This is just straight up the 59 clawing his way towards him.
Yeah, just slowly but surely doing it, and he's got the gap down to under 0.4 of a second as they come into the braking zone now for turn 12. Boccignone gets a good run there, doesn't lose too much time off the apex, so he's got some mega speed to try to get in.
Yeah, I think if he gets any sort of mistake out of Michael, Doug's going to be pouncing here with how long it took him to get up there. He knows he's got to try and be quick on it, but unfortunately not close enough through that corner, even though he gained a little bit under braking through the last part of the stadium section. Leighton has just started another lap, and they have 3 to go, I think.
I think that math works out right, but I'll trust you on it, Joe, as we watch Baccignoni continuing to be close, 0.4 of a second. Ooh, good run there going through the final corner for Doug.
And turn 1 is definitely a place where you can pass. Is he close enough? He's not pulling as much as I would have thought. Little defense from Bolton. He doesn't feel safe. It goes back to the racing line, though, and so does Baccignoni.
Yes, he does, but Baccignoni able to get a little bit of a crossover there and keep him nice and close behind. He's not going to have the opportunity to make the move down into 3 and 4, but if he can just keep the pressure here on the back of Bolton, he can wait and see what happens.
Certainly making him think about it like that, where he gets him off the apex, just showing his nose down through there. Bolton is showing some errors, and Baccignoni eventually is going to slip through the cracks if this keeps up. Oh, but now it's Baccignoni. He goes a little bit wide over 9. Oh, and who's this?
Who is that around in the back there? I'm not sure.
That was Edwards. That was the 5. Yeah. I think that was the self-spin there coming off the final corner, it looks like.
Oh, and it looks like Doug Baccignoni had a bad run there coming off of turn 11. Just caught a little bit of that inside curving that upset the car. Wasn't able to get the power down as well as he'd like to. And that gap now grown up to about 6/7 of a second.
Ooh, here's an interesting complication. Some of the leaders have been starting to hit lap traffic as well. Chad Duncan, Jacob Abrams, Larry Haas have all been lapped. It looks like Haas has actually been in pit lane for quite a bit of time, so the 228 has possibly retired from this race. Yeah, he's been in there for about 12 minutes. Not sure what happened to him, but maybe that'll give opportunities to Travis Brown that you see here in the blue and green car, chasing the yellow and blue of Michael Johnson. He's got it down to 0.6 of a second, so he has closed in slightly compared to when he passed Fulton before, but he's starting to run out of time.
He's starting to run out of time, but the good news for Travis is that he has plenty of breathing room. Very close battle there in the back. I believe that's Slavic and Ost. The good news is that he's got about 2.7 seconds back to BJ Fulton, so he's got plenty of breathing room to really go on full attack mode here.
Yeah, look at the distance they put on Fulton. BJ was definitely holding them up. But strange that the 277 dropped as quickly as he did. I wonder if he just got demoralized after Travis had managed to go by. Oh, right on the bumper now at times. It looks like Brown is close enough to attack. This is where he took the spot last time when he was fighting with Fulton. He looks to the inside. Michael tried to cover off. He's going to squeeze him down a little bit, tries to open up the corner, cut back and see if he can get the launch, and it's much quicker off. Oh, but he covers him down to the inside.
Oh my goodness, covers him down to the inside. I think there may have been a little bit of contact there, but Michael Johnson going to get the benefit of the draft here. You can see him closing down on the back of the 79. And there's the late move from Michael going down to the inside, trying to get into the braking zone.
The red mist is up for these two, and down into the braking. Can Johnson get it done? Yes, he does. Don't count out Travis. Tries to cut back. Goes the long way around. Nothing doing. No, he holds tight. He could try and get it in there. No, now he starts to fall back.
Starts to fall back. Going to try to send it a little bit on the outside of 15. Sometimes you can get a crossover there, but not going to work. He's going to have a wider line now into Turkey to try to carry a little bit more speed, but he's not going to find an easy way to try to get on by. And indeed, Michael Johnson just slides that car off the apex a little bit to prevent off any attack.
And, oh, down into the penultimate corner. That is a hard one to make stick, and he doesn't. Johnson still in the spot. White flag now waves as Leighton has crossed the line. Johnson needs to survive one more lap, while Brown needs to get this done before time runs out.
He does indeed. He's going to be about 2.5 of a second back as they make the charge up Phil Hill. He's going to look to the inside, just trying to see if he can get Michael Johnson offline, but Johnson not deterred. He's going to hit that apex perfectly and get a good run off of the corner.
That's a pretty good run from Brown, too, honestly, despite the odd angle. And he's still right there as we look from beneath the wing of Michael Johnson. Travis Brown, that you see on your screen, trying his darndest, and he's starting to fall back. He is slipping up here through the S's. Is he now having trouble here?
Maybe he is. He may have cooked his tires a little bit, but they're going to keep on trying here, seeing what happens as they come out of that final section, turns 8 and 9. Michael Johnson now having a 0.6 of a second advantage.
We might see a pass for fourth as well, as Latvala is now only 1.7 behind Fulton and gaining. Things are getting tight here, even though the lead has been a one-horse race and a foregone conclusion. Second, third, and fourth have been phenomenal.
They indeed have. It's been a very, very close battle as now they all get the benefit of each other's draft going down the back straightaway here into 12.
Johnson a healthy 0.7 of a second now. This is really the last big braking zone that they've got. And then maybe he could send something desperate into the final turn, or there. Oh, he just about tipped around Johnson.
That would have been absolutely disastrous for him there, but it looks like Michael gets the run there through 15. I think chances are running out here for Travis Brown.
Meanwhile, in front of them, this is Tom Layton, 5 times a winner already. Here in round 9, he is going to make it 6. Tom Layton is going to win here at COTA. Michael Johnson, in the meantime, has held off Travis Brown with a stout defense as they will round out the podium. Fulton in 4th, and poor Corey Latvala, he only got up to 5th, and he was just a second shy of BJ in the end.
A little bit of a battle here in the back. That is the 18th of Gsrc trying to get around Mark Rondeau as they go through the stadium section.
Rondeau round the outside. He's got it. Gsrc could maybe try and get him here. No, he's not close enough. Both of them trying to get the power down, but Rondeau looks much more solid.
Yeah, it really does. And now as they fly through Turkey, those chances running out yet again. I think this is Rondeau's spot if he wants it.
Yep. As long as he is safe through these last 2 turns, they're coming up behind Slavic, who is up 7. Nicely done. He and Ost both tied for hard chargers in this race. So Rondeau 11th, Gsrc will be 12th. And that's going to take us to a quick break. We'll be back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
And welcome back to Circuit of the Americas Round 9 in the Porsche Owners Club Series here in 2022. Saw Tom Layton get a 6th victory straight in races that he has been to. Michael Johnson was second behind him after starting from 4th. He inherited that second place. He lost it a couple times, but only briefly, because he had to fend off Travis Brown at the end, who wound up in 3rd. As BJ Fulton finished in 4th ahead of Corey Latvala, who got tipped around by Brown in the very first corner, went way back to the back of the pack and climbed his way to 5th. Matthew Sipek was P6. It's Michael Bolton in 7th and Doug Baccignone P8. Then it's Michael Ost from 16th to 9th. Nicely done, as Slavic also up 17th to 10th.
Mark Rondeau finished right where he started in 11th, and he was followed home by Mehmet Gsrc with Jeffrey Shulam and Sam Mayorga behind them. John Momeyer was 15th, followed by Aaron Edwards, the last driver on the lead lap, with Jad Duncan 1 lap down, Jacob Abrams 2 lap down, and Larry Haas unable to finish here today.
That's going to take us to our winner, Tom Layton, who led it from start to finish. And Tom, the big concern here for a lot of real-world drivers and here in the sim is always that first corner. You look like you braked deep and got yourself clear. Was that intentional to try and avoid anybody maybe trying something silly?
Yeah, that was my whole strategy. Just park it at the apex and just claim the corner as much as I can, just, yeah, I know like at the last race, Corey got a good jump on me. So everything was revolving around just kind of trying to get off to a good start.
And impressively, you had the fewest incidents of anybody out there. This track kind of hands them out like candy with the way they've got that paved runoff. Only 3 of them. Were you making a concerted effort to try and make it a clean race?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Actually, while I was driving, I realized I had 0x for like a little while. And then my mind just started to like focus on that and wander. And then I started picking up like 1, 2, 3 here and there. But yeah, I was trying to keep it clean. I mean, I didn't know how the car's behavior was going to change over the course of the race. So just trying to avoid that as much as possible.
Well, being good at technical tracks like this will come in handy in 2 weeks' time when we come back, because unfortunately, you're not going to have the paved runoff next time out. We're going to VIR. How much experience do you have over there?
I actually moved here from Virginia, but I never got a chance to drive that track, and I'm just really upset that I just never kind of checked that off the list. But I've driven there a handful in the sim. I really like it. It's really fun. Those uphill S's are a blast. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, maybe you'll have to talk to Michael Johnson, because apparently one of his teams is based there, so he might be able to give you an in. Congratulations on the win, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you some more in 2 weeks, sir.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And thanks to my sponsors, FR Sport. So see you guys in a couple weeks.
That was Tom Layton, your victor from the pole, as I think DJ has caught up with Johnson, the second-place finisher.
I have indeed. Michael, you had us scared there a little bit in qualifying and then able to put in a 4th best time and then just avoid some of the carnage at the beginning, and next thing you know, you're in second.
Well, I'm used to the turn 1 mayhem at this track. It is my home track. I've driven many laps in anger here, so it went almost as I expected for the opening lap. So that, yeah, I wasn't too surprised by that.
Well, talk to me about the rest of the race then, because you were basically running defense that entire time, first from BJ Fulton and then under very stout attack from Travis later on.
Well, BJ was holding very well. I knew I was faster than he was in most sections. The problem I have is, because this is my home track, the way you drive it in real life and the way you drive it in the sim are fairly different. So I couldn't get some things out of my head and switch to the sim version. So he would catch up to me on a couple of things, but other things actually worked well. So I was able to open it back up, and then a mistake, and BJ caught up. And then I kind of went into turn 1 and overbraked a little bit because I was overcooking it. I braked too late. He was about half a second off of me, and then I pulled away. And then Travis finally got around him. And then I knew I was in for it, because Travis was just faster. I knew he was faster. There was nothing I could do except drive defensively. And we went into turn 11. He pinched to the inside, so I pinched him down. I was like, great, that's exactly where I want you. And then I jotted back out to the outside, which you're allowed to do, and then somehow picked up 4X there, because we made very, very light contact at that point. Which should not have been. I was 0x all the way through the race, and then I was able to repass him on the drag race down the backstretch. He put up a pretty good defense, but I still kept around him. Just I'm really good at the whole turn 12 to about 20, so I've got that down pat. I just know it. I drive it by memory, and that was where I was able to open that gap back up. And I think it frustrated him a little bit, and he might have gotten a little wiggly. So yeah, it was fun and a lot of work, and Travis really made me work for it tonight.
Well, I'm sure working for it has just got to make it feel a little bit sweeter. But in next round, we head to VIR, another track I know you're very experienced with. Do you think another podium's possible, or are you going to have to sort of unlearn some of the things you know about VIR again?
Well, fortunately, VIR, the only differences in line and attack. So one of my teams is based there, Tech Sport Racing. We're based out of VIR. We use it as a test track. We drive on it all the time. And most everything you do on track is exactly the same in the sim. What changes is there's a big giant oak tree at Oak Tree, but that doesn't really matter because you can still see the cars. The exit of NASCAR going into left-hander there's a huge paved area out there that I am very used to using. So that's not going to be there. And then coming out of Oak Tree, there's a lot more runoff that I'm used to using. So I just have to kind of switch those two spots. And if I can manage those, and it's really the exit of 2 going into 3, I kind of have to bleed off a little more speed than I'm used to. I should be okay. But yeah, we'll see how it comes race day, because with 2 weeks worth of practice and these guys practicing every single night, they get faster. Like, we'll go probably tonight and play around, and I'll probably win the practice race. But by the end of 2 weeks, by the end of 1 week, it'll be a struggle for me to stay on the podium.
Well, thank you for all of that, Michael. I always love hearing your technical insight on how to race around. But a second place here today. Time to celebrate. Anybody you want to thank?
Oh yeah, there's Freedom Supercars and Simply. There's Sugar Studios LA. I'll be seeing Gijo on Wednesday. I'm out there. Who else? We've got Truffle Shuffle. Truffle Shuffle is awesome. Love those guys. T-Mobile for Business. Who else? We got Fixed Vodka, of course. I love Fixed Vodka. They're out of here in Texas. It's an alkaline vodka, so check them out at your local store.
Well, all right. Thank you, Michael. That was your second place finisher, Michael Johnson. And now, Joe, I believe you've caught up with our third place finisher, Travis Brown.
Which is where he started, but definitely you could tell he wanted more. Travis, it all seemed to be basically set up by that first corner. Talk to us about it from your perspective of what happened between you and Corey.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really started with Sepik behind me. Got a good run off the green flag drop, so I had to cover the inside, which kind of forced me to squeeze down tight. And then, obviously, I couldn't come back out with Johnson was squeezing me there. So I don't know. I mean, I apologize to Corey, but it's lap 1, turn 1. You got to assume you got to leave space. I was going to make the corner, but he just turned into the apex like a qualifying lap. So I don't know. I mean, it's a tough one. I feel terrible because he was clearly faster. He and Tom were going to have a great race tonight. That's not at all what I wanted to do, but I also knew if I braked any earlier for turn 1, I was going to get rear-ended. So yeah, it was kind of a no-win situation.
I understand the frustration on that. But then after that, the frustration kind of continued. It took you 20 minutes to try and pass BJ Fulton. What was going on there?
Yeah, he had a major draft from Michael in front of him. So I was getting like nothing on the straights, even though I'd be 3-4 tenths behind him coming onto the big straight. It was totally negated and gave no advantage to be in the tow. And then I was faster through the S's, but good luck trying to pass there. I thought about it at one point, and then I thought better. I was like, no, that's just going to end in death. So finally got close enough to send it down into the back straight braking zone and was able to cover him off. But yeah, it took a long time. I was trying to be patient, and I kept thinking I'd get a run with the draft, but no dice. He was, driving clean laps too, so he was not making any mistakes.
Absolutely. And then, honestly, my favorite part of the race, once you got by him, you and Michael gave us a show. What was that like from inside the car?
Yeah, no, I mean, that is a great thing. I know I can always race Michael hard. He's always clean, and, we've got a lot of respect for each other. So that is kind of the ideal. And I felt like I had the faster car. I mean, I tracked him down, but then it's a whole nother thing to get past him, right? So the unfortunate was when I did get past him the first time, and I knew I was trying to, just park it on the apex so he couldn't do an up and under and come back through on me. He ended up giving me a little tap in the rear, which unfortunately gave me a 4X. And after the 4X earlier with Corey and then all the super tight off tracks on the track put me up to 16. So for the rest of our battle, then I'll admit I was just trying not to get that 17X penalty. So I really had to decide what I was going to do going down the back straight, if I was going to try and cover the inside or hold the outside. I thought it was safer for me to hold the outside and thought I could hold it around. And if he went wide, I could just leave the room and not DQ myself. But he did, took the turn perfect, and I just didn't have enough momentum coming out to keep my nose in front of him to try and keep it going too wide into the rest. So, tip my hat to him. It was a great race, and yeah, had a blast.
Well, we honestly hope you two have another one like that when we get to VIR, because we'll take plenty more racing like that. That was fantastic to watch. Anybody that you want to thank that helped make the podium possible today, though?
Yeah, I gotta give my wife a shout out for Mother's Day, and for this. Honestly, I did not practice nearly as much as I usually do. This was the third time I was ever on this track, but I got a nice practice session in today, and she made a delicious dinner and got to she roots me on too, so it was great. She's like, "Oh, go get some practice in before the race." I know, so it's always enjoy it a whole nother level whenever you've got support, and it's not with a bad attitude of like, "Oh, there he is sim racing again." So no, I gotta thank her so much.
It always helps to have that pit crew giving you that support behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
That was Travis Brown taking third today in the number 79 machine, just shy of getting into second place. But that's going to wrap us up with a few thank yous of our own. We want to thank Porsche, naturally, because there is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store, gsrc.storeenvy.com. There's a link in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. As we mentioned, on May 23rd, it's back to VIR at 11 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out, mark them down on your calendar. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.